We got to Venture Island here on Rainy Lake outside of International Falls, about 8 miles, in 1949. It was in July going into August. I was just turning 7. It was the end of first grade. Uncle Jerry said, "Why don't you come up here on vacation with us in August?" They said, "Let's do it." We stopped at International Falls, we got our provisions, and then went out to Island View. Island View at that time was and has been quite a resort. Uncle Jerry had a 14-foot Minnetonka rowboat with a 7-horsepower Martin motor on it. We rented a 16-foot, I think Larson, maybe Thompson rowboat. And we had Uncle Jerry's second motor, a 1.5 or 2-horsepower Johnson outboard. Now my recollection, which is maybe uncertain, is that we arrived up to Island View at about 1 in the afternoon. And it took Don, my father, and Jerry about 4 hours to make the round trip. And we had no idea where they were, what time they would be back, because cell phones had not been invented yet. At that time, now, let me just paint the picture of who all is here. I am the youngest at end of first grade. My sister Karen is she's probably, 9 years old. My brother is 11. Our cousin Claudia, Jerry and Martha's girl, is 14. This is 1949. My parents were born in 1911, so that makes them 37, 38 years old. All of us kids put on our orange Kapok life jackets. We had the cat with us. Copper was the cat's name, in a carpet bag. We proceeded, if that's the proper word, at maybe 2 miles an hour. You could walk faster than this boat. And we stopped then at Polka Dot Island, which is about 3/4 of a mile from our destination, which was Green Island. And I remember my parents talking, and the adults got together. My mother said, "Don, I think we're going to have a storm." And we looked to the west, and to the west there's this gray smudge of cloud approaching. And they all looked at it, and the men said, "No, not a problem, we'll be home before it comes." We got in the boat, and we set forth toward the island. Now from Polka Dot you can see the island. It's a straight shot over. And when we're about, 1/2 to 3/4 of the way, several things happened. The sky turned black. Lightning came marching down the lake. And in fact, it was pitch black. Lightning coming down, shoo, bang. Everything would shake, you know how lightning does with the strobe effect. And in this flashes of pure white light, you would see my mother up there with a smile on her face. It was a brave smile. "Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun?" And a conversation ensued, filled, as I remember now as an adult, with humor. And the conversation went like this: "Do you know where we are? No. Do you? No. What should we do? Let's head for shore. Where's shore? Over there. Okay, let's go over there." And faced with that, and again, rain coming down in buckets, and the wind blowing, and the waves rocking us back and forth, and Copper the cat stuck its head out of the bag and looked around, and then put its head back down. It was smart. And we're hanging on. I remember having one hand on each side of the gunwale. This was a small little boat. You know, I could reach across, and we're rocking like this, and up and down, and every which way. And this flotilla of 2 boats goes around an island and gets out of the wind, and the wind is shut off, and it stops, and all we have is the rain. And they feel their way, Don and Jerry driving with the flashing of the lightning. They blink their eyes, but they get a sense of where the shore is, and they get the boats up on the shore. It turns out to be a sand beach, and we have no idea where we are, not a clue. And then Claudia, dear Claudia, my lovely cousin, says these wonderful words. She said, "Daddy, I think we're on our island." And by golly, we had blundered onto our destination, onto the back beach, out of the wind. And so our parents put us into a convoy and we went up the path 100 yards to the cabin and got into this cabin, this log cabin that had been built in 1929, about 25 by 25 square feet. And the parents got us inside and they dried us off and they put us up to bed in the lofts that were over the living area and the kitchen. And as we went to bed, I could hear the sound of alcoholic drinks being made and the parents talking and making a great story of this. And it was a great adventure. And the next morning when I awoke and went outside, I saw this deep blue water and whitecaps were coming out of the southwest right at us. And the pines were beautiful and green and the rocks were gray. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I still do. That's how I came to radio.